want to talk about Serbia 0, England 5. I don't know about you guys, but Jim Campbell, I had a wonderful evening yesterday.
I've booked my tattoo in.
Tommy Tuchel.
World Cup. Yeah, exactly. Lifting the World Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yeah,
now.
With his baseball cap on or his little hair island?
He's got the hair island on. The World Cup's got the baseball cap on it.
Nice.
That's very, very good.
Very good.
Luke Moore, what a performance.
It was great. Really good. By far the best performance under Thomas Tuchel so far.
Yeah, a difficult choice that.
How many games has it been so far?
That was the 5th one.
Okay.
No goals conceded though.
Haven't conceded the goal yet. You know? But we were crying out for a performance such as this, chiefly because it's not that we have to be overly judgmental of Tuchel and the performances very early on in his tenure, but we have to try and see a bit of a direction to understand what he wants to do,
what we've got to go on,
how he wants England to play, etc., etc. And I think for the first time last night, we probably did see something that was coherent, it was cohesive, and it was clearly England got their foot on the throat and they didn't let it off. I guess before I hand over back to you guys, I would say that you don't want to go too over the top about it for all the obvious reasons, not just the non-English football fans in the YouTube comments, but that is part of it. but I do think the situation made it lend itself to a big England win, by which I mean that Serbia know that they have to get some kind of result realistically in their home game against England.
They're not just going to put a load of men behind the ball.
Quite.
Even though they were pinned back, it wasn't that type of
No, and they can't afford to do that. And as soon as England scored the first goal, and actually it's a bit of a 1-2 punch because the second goal came quite quickly afterwards.
Yes.
Serbia need to do something, which then leaves it there for England to rack up the goals, because there's no point really in Serbia not trying to get something out of it, because if they can snatch back a 2-2 draw or something, that's massive for them. So I think the situation did play a part in it, but nevertheless I thought England were very good, and I thought there was a lot of really good individual performances, which bodes well.
Yeah. After the game, Thomas Tuchel said the performance was teamwork in its purest form. Jim, a strong quote, but at times, there was quite a bit of cohesion that we saw on the pitch.
And actually, what I liked about that is that it wasn't there immediately. There were points where the players weren't quite finding each other. It looked a little bit like it was a case of one team being far superior to the other, but not quite hitting their stride. But then once they did, it all clicked really, really well. So many players grew into the game. I thought, Morgan Rogers, there was a point where I'd forgot he was on the pitch, but then he clicked into life, and he had a fantastic game from that point on. Madueke as well.
This flicks for you, Jimmy Campbell.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm here.
Here I am.
Yeah. Take note.
Yes.
And I thought Reece James and Madueke kind of had a couple of kind of moments where they weren't quite on the same wavelength at the beginning, but that kind of seemed to smooth over as well. And just to a man, everybody performed well. I thought actually, I felt a little bit sorry for both Tino Livramento and Anthony Gordon, because everything was being funneled down the right. And we've had conversations a lot, haven't we, about how there's probably more to come from Gordon in an England shirt, but he actually just wasn't really getting a lot of service. But other than it being sort of tilted very heavily in favour of the right-hand side, which obviously worked, so it's not a criticism. I thought it was a pretty perfect performance, really.
You can ask for too much more. I mean,
he made a good contribution for one of the goals, didn't he? Corey cuts inside and he causes the goal because there's a rebound.
Well,
that's more a first half.
And he had a lovely headband on.
He did. I tell you what though, Luke. Again, you're going on what you saw. So nobody is saying with this team England are going to do this, that, or the other. But going on what we saw, there was real balance to that midfield.
Yeah.
And Rodgers, I think, is a player who, I think if you said before this game to a lot of people, I don't think Rodgers will make the World Cup squad next summer. I don't think you'd have too much pushback on that. I think some people might have him in there, but he would be maybe on the periphery.
It's a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, after last night, Luke, you think, bloody hell, this is where we were saying players have got a real chance. With the injuries England have, with Saka, Palmer, Bellingham, to name just three, there's even Adam Morton, because people maybe talking about him in the context of, say, where Elliot Anderson's been playing. A chance for people. Anderson has taken his chance. Rodgers has done it. Madueke's done it. You look at those three players and you think, well, surely they'll be in the next squad. And as the old selection headache from the manager in the next one, blah, 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 blah. But that midfield, Luke, the three of them in there, we know what Rice brings, but two others who are very green when it comes to England. And Rodgers had a couple of little bits here and there. It was a fine performance.
It was what we were crying out for earlier this week when we talked about, or was it last week, sorry, when we talked about what midfield we see picked in this Serbia game. And I remember saying to you the exact words: we hope for Anderson and Rice, and we fear Henderson and Rice, right? And what we did get was
Hender got a run out. That was nice,
he did
wasn't it?
towards the end.
Come on.
And late break into the box as well.
Yeah, I saw
I'll
that.
tell you what, with all the
The old
pace
Terminator run. I thought I haven't seen that for a while.
with all the pace of continental drift.
Hey.
We hadn't seen that. We hadn't seen that kind of pace since the original breakup of Pangaea, continentally. But we did see a nice balance in there. I think Anderson now has a really good claim to be a real part of the mix for England going forward because of the performances and because of the type of player he is. With the caveat that unless Ange Postecoglou surgically removes his hamstrings and wears it as a fucking bracelet.
And tells him to forget every defensive bone in his
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
So Postecoglou could put the kibosh on it. But other than
we hope
that...
But and then also on Rodgers, what is really interesting to me about Rodgers, and it's an exaggeration to say that he's lucky to have been picked from the start here, but it's not that much of an exaggeration, chiefly because him and Konsa have both really struggled to impose themselves in the Premier League this season for Villa. Villa had a really slow start. Yeah. Rodgers hasn't really done much. Konsa's had a tricky time. And obviously, he's had a sending off as well. And both those players were really good last night in the England context. And I just think if you're Rodgers and you've got that combination of Anderson and Rice behind you, you really are being given a platform there to succeed. First 20 minutes was quiet. But you know what? I mean, you're away from home against a competent side.
You've just walked through a 3-mile long tunnel. You'll be tired from that.
That tunnel as well, right? Yeah, and I do think sometimes we're a little bit harsh. I do because it was mentioned in commentary quite a lot last night that Rodgers didn't do much. Lee Dixon was kind of on his back a bit. There's nothing wrong at 0-0 with spending 15 or so minutes getting the pace of the game, working out where you can operate.
I think it's incredibly nitpicky if you're saying about Rodgers. Well, first 20 minutes,
but that's what Dixon was saying.
Well, this is it. I mean, I know he walks off the pitch 5-0. Winner and had some notable moments, but that first 20 minutes, I mean, come on.
But at the time, Dixon was. I think it was around the time when he provides that flick for Madueke.
But you know what? He did something before that, the turn, where he puts Madueke in and it didn't. And
Kane doesn't take the chance.
Kane and Madueke and it didn't quite happen. That was a moment where you see Rodgers. Rodgers is powerful, he's quick, and he's got good feet. Yeah, and he showed it last night. And
the second goal was absolute class, by the way.
Super,
brilliant,
such a great,
absolutely brilliant. And that kind of change of pace and a quick flick, you don't see it that often from an England player. But these are. It's almost like de facto trial games for these players, because that's how it works. You don't have the run that you do at club level and bloody blah. We know that, and we know that anybody who is called up to the England squad is a quality player. You think about the players that don't get called up, So we know they're good players, but you've got to show a little bit of something. We say this time and time again that if you get that chance, can you just show you're comfortable there?
Absolutely.
Can you have a moment? And he did that.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, club form is the first part of getting yourself into an England shirt, and this part is the far more important, especially with limited opportunities, right? Because it's about doing it when you get there, right? Yeah. As you say, it's about contributing. It's about showing Tuchel that you can be relied on in those moments, and we see it all the time. There are players where you think, X player or Y player should be playing based on how they're playing for their club, but if it doesn't quite happen, then Tuchel doesn't necessarily know that he can depend on you in a big game. And these moments are absolutely about establishing yourself in that shirt. Yeah,
also as well for Rodgers. I mean, that's pretty much the area of the pitch where he plays for his club. Because, who did it in the previous game? Eze, who I know he drifts inside, but you think of him as also a wide player. And again, I know positions aren't, is sort of, they're more loosely defined nowadays. You think, could Bellingham play there? Well, Bellingham will, yes, of course he can.
I think Bellingham weirdly gives you, based on what we saw last night, I think you could argue it's a nice problem to have, but Bellingham gives you a bit of a problem because he's such a high-profile player. He can drift a bit and he can be a bit inconsistent. For England, and then you have to be a really strong manager to be able to leave him out. I mean, if you think about the thought exercise of Tuchel having to the first World Cup game, the first group, if England qualify, which they probably will now, the first group game in the World Cup. It's a big play to leave Bellingham out.
But that's what I like about Tuchel. He said, it's different teams. I'm not saying you're going to have a whole different 11. You're going to have a general shape and. Probably
you have to have
8 or 9 starters.
You have to have different. You have to use your different weapons because what happens is you talk about positions being loosely defined, and you're absolutely right to say that. But I think also over and above that, a theme that we've come back to a lot on this show is the idea that you have different ways of interpreting those positions from different attacking players. Like you mentioned Eze there, different player to Rodgers.
Yeah.
You know, you have players like Gordon, who's a completely different wide forward player to one or two others. So you can start picking the players to unpick different locks depending on who you're playing against. But I do actually think, aside from that, if you wanna have a good basis from which to build from, I do think the two players, if you're going to play a 4-2-3-1, the two players at the back of that, you want them to be fitting perfectly in there.
Yeah.
And I think it's early days, and they've only played against Andorra, which you can't read too much into, as you guys said on Monday, and now Serbia away. But the balance you can see, the eye test on the balance with Anderson and Rice is there.
Yeah.
So then that leaves you a problem, because if Rodgers keeps imposing himself, and you've got so many options in the hole, where does Bellingham fit in?
You can't play everybody.
Is that an invented problem though? Because you can put Bellingham there, you can put Palmer there, and if we're going to judge it based on this, you can put Rodgers there, and you've got three incredible options, right?
Yeah, you do.
Surely that's a definition of a nice problem to
It's
have.
a lovely
I know that he has to.
but you still got to solve. Look, one of the things that comes up in Tuchel's interviews quite a lot, which is worth talking about, and again, contextually, I think a massive part of this game last night is that it is inconceivable to me that you prepare for England coming to town, and you're in camp as Serbia, and you're at home, and the first goal that England score is not even an intelligent run by Kane. He just drifts around.
They were very charitable from set pieces.
Totally.
Yeah. I think that goes
and you're
in
on the back foot straight away from that.
Yeah, and
so that informs it.
You're absolutely right, Luke, and it's why one shouldn't get too carried away.
But the point I want to make about Tuchel, though, very quickly, if I may, is that he spends quite a lot of time in his interviews, it seems to me, talking about how little time he has to work with his players. Now, you can understand that because he comes from a top-level club environment, but he does mention it a lot. And he said last night, I think it was in the ITV interview actually afterwards, he said, we've had 3 weeks in total, really, to work together. And for me, that's half a pre-season, right? And then they go away again. And he said, the first camp we had was good, the second camp was so-so, and the third camp we've just had here was brilliant. And part of the reason I'm so pleased as to why we won so well is because it's reflective of what I've seen this week.
Yep.
Now, that's all fine, but what that says to me is we know the clock's ticking. When you get about a year out of it from a big tournament, the clock starts to tick. If he's as decisive as he needs to be, he needs to have an understanding, probably already, of what he's actually going to do, and he needs to start playing players more consistently. And one of the criticisms we've had about him in the past has been that we don't really know what direction it's going in.
Yeah.
Now, this is the first step on quite an interesting direction, and it'll be interesting to see what the next step is. Because if it goes back to type again, it's a little bit odd.
I totally agree with you, and that's why you've just got that tinge of excitement this morning as an England fan, because you can just see something. But talking of nice problems and all the rest of it, well, for me and a lot of people, when everyone's fit, Saka is a starter on the right. Some people would maybe have Cole Palmer in there. I mean, not everybody who starts finishes, and you do have substitutes, lest we forget. And it does seem criminal to say, well, Cole Palmer's a sub, but you've got those two, and then you think, well, there's Jared Bowen as well.
Yeah, he was great when he came on.
But Noni Madueke is now...
He's taking his chance.
I mean, my goodness, what a goal that was.
Tuchel likes it. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, and you mentioned Reece James. It was nice to see Reece James playing more like a right-back. I know Enzo Maresca gets him to do other bits and pieces.
I was really encouraged by him.
Brilliant, and his delivery and all the rest of it. And Carl Walker said a year or however long ago it was, Reece James will be my successor as right-back for England. And I'm certainly...
When we had that glut of right-backs coming through... We said on this show, and I fully believe it, like when he's fully fit and firing, James is the best of all of them because there's no obvious issue or weakness in his game. I think I'm right in saying way back in the day when he first burst onto the scene, we were having conversations about players like Walker. Even then we were saying, is he getting a bit older? Aaron Wan-Bissaka was being talked about a lot. He was hyped. He got on that big move to Man United for a lot of money, and people were talking about how he... attacking wise wasn't that great. Then with Alexander Arnold, it was the opposite problem. And I just felt James didn't have an obvious weakness in his game, and he kind of shows that when he's fit.
He was brilliant last night.
And also that delivery, is what we've spent a lot of time talking about. Trent Alexander-Arnold having as a kind of as a sort of distinct point from other players, but James is showing that he can do that as well.
Well, and also if Madueke is in front of him,
as well,
there's an understanding at club level there. They haven't played a huge amount together due to Reece James's injuries. but there's perhaps a familiarity, whatever that's worth. And, Livramento behind Gordon as well. I think, as you said, Jim, it was a lot of it was down that right-hand side, but it was good for Gordon. He looked a bit lively, but I think that left-hand side, because Rashford comes on, and Rashford, again, like there's no fear there. He's right. I mean, I understand he comes on and it's 4-0 or whatever.
How predictable that the Marcus Rashford renaissance begins immediately on the most public stage possible.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's always nice to have one in there.
But
and great for Ollie Watkins to come on and win a penalty to do something as well. So again, even the subs came on, and Tuchel was beaming, as you say, about how good the camp was. But look at Madueke and Gay, and obviously Konza, but Gay in particular scored his first goal for England. Of course, I know that the three of them did. How he was beaming after. And again, it shows you, because Eberechi Eze said in an interview the other week that his goal for England was probably the goal he cherished the most in his career to date. Perhaps he'd forgotten about that FA Cup winning goal, but he felt that it was such an achievement to score for England. And Gay said that to play for my score for my country now, and that's the centre back saying that. So the camp, it really does feel good this morning.
Well, England have become pretty good at recognising the journey that players go on to get to where they get to. I mean, Madueke's first goal for England as well, given that he was asked quite a difficult question. I thought quite an unfair question after the Andorra game about that own goal. Are you going to claim that kind of thing? He was like, well, no, of course I'm not. For him to get a goal in the next game was really important. You haven't mentioned Jed Spence, his journey to come to where he's come to. He's found it very difficult. I've got a huge amount of admiration for how he's like knuckled down, found himself in that horrible situation that players find themselves in, where you're signed by a director of football at Spurs. The manager doesn't really want you. You're farmed out, and you don't really have a future there, it seems. Then it all changes. And now all of a sudden he's a key player and he's forced his way into the England side. And you see Harry Kane presenting him with his cap and actually being quite emotional about it. So, I know how hard you've worked. I know what it means to your family. So this lineage that needs to be protected post-Southgate seems like it is. Another player that can come back in who's been a stalwart for England has been John Stones as well. We haven't mentioned him yet. So what we're getting at here, I think we're talking ourselves into a situation where we have to rely on Thomas Tuchel to be super definitive and confident in his selections when the time comes, because he's got so many options that he's going to have to make big call after big call after big call. It's not just going to be Bellingham. It's going to be a Bukayo Saka call. It's going to be a John Stones or Konsa call, probably. It's going to be other areas of the pitch where he's going to have to make a big definitive decision. And it's very well for us to say, well, you just pick different weapons for different challenges. It's easier said than done, because these players want to play and they'll all think they can make a difference. And there's an absolute plethora of options now. And what he's got to do is have a mix and a blend and do it well. And they need to be ready to go when they inevitably qualify for the World Cup, which they will.
It's all about a mix and a blend, Jim.
Marcus, I have a question for you about Mark Gay.
The answer is yes.
Given that you mentioned his reaction there. Can we call him our giddy uncle?
Oh, he's the giddy uncle.
Come on then.
That's nice.
Yes.
My giddy uncle. What a goal.
Our giddy uncle. He's all of our
That's
uncle.
True. He
Great timing of the run for his goal.
Yeah.
Really wanted it as well.
Again, charitable from Serbia.
Yeah.
It was.
Keeper should be, keeper's got to stop that going in the net, isn't it? It's a really big
it really
part of
is
his
as simple
job
as
to
that.
get rid of that.
Yeah.
It's about 4 yards out.
I know.
I can't believe he's
probably reach it without moving.
He's thinking the keeper's going to, no, I'm just going to carry on.
Did you not, speaking of which, little digression, did you see Onana's goalkeeper against Cape Verde?
I didn't see that.
My God.
Is it?
I mean, we
back
have
to
to
his
share
best?
it on the socials. Like, Cape Verde break through and the guy's in on goal and Onana just doesn't come off his line.
Love it.
Just stays there.
Yeah.
Guy just puts it in the net.
You weren't expecting this.
Yeah, we do this all the time at Man United. You're not at Man United anymore. But anyway, going back,
You're playing for a respectable side now.
yeah, going back to the game itself before we kind of move on, because we've talked about quite a lot of bigger issues here.
Yeah.
I wanted just to say that Serbia were charitable. It was a bad night for them. I think they might have been somewhat distracted by some of the stuff that's happening off the pitch as well, which you don't have to go into. But they did find themselves in a difficult situation, as I mentioned. The fact that they go 1-0 down in quite a weird way. They have a player sent off as well. They can't really dig in, given the position of the qualifying group, as I said.
Yeah.
But I do think, that second goal that is of such good quality from Madueke, that is a bit of a heartbreaker. He makes the run so well. He technically, as a forward player, he cuts across the defender, gives the defender a decision to make, and the finish is amazing. I think sometimes when England are good, a lot of middling teams, like Serbia are ranked 32 in the world, right? So middling kind of competent international side.
No, who should have would have been disappointed they didn't get a point off England in the Euros.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. A good point, actually.
Yeah.
And they get their hearts broken by this type of stuff, by the fact that England can attack in so many different ways when they're on it. And I think what can happen is it goes one way or the other with England. If they score early and they follow it up and they really hit their straps, they can punish you. But those kind of teams know that if they don't score early, they can dig in and make it really tough for England. Of course, Serbia can't really do that in this situation. So I think you've got to temper your expectation based on that performance in isolation, because I think there are reasons for it.
Another way to look at it is to not temper our expectations.
Okay, yeah, fine.
And expect the World Cup to be like that 12 minutes against the Netherlands in the second half in Euro 96.
Yeah,
where it's just bang, bang, bang,
yeah.
bang. I think that's what we should expect, right?
Okay, we should demand it, I think.
I agree, actually. Yeah, let's
on
demand
this show,
it.
we are officially demanding that every game from now on.
Do you know what? I did like what Tuchel said, that he's really enjoying being England manager. And he said, everywhere, I think he's living in London at the moment, he said everywhere he walks, people coming up to him, going, come on, and all this, and suggesting squad selections and so on. I think for him, he was just like, this is incredible, because it's a totally different experience of what he's used to. And I remember the late, great Sven-Göran Eriksson saying that when he was in charge of England, he said, wherever you go, especially on the eve of a tournament, people, come on, Sven, it's our year, and all this. And he said it really does propel you, that kind of feeling, all the way to a quarter-final. But I think that even Tuchel, this performance and victory is big for him, because again, there's a lot of chat and perhaps too much about performances against Andorra and all the rest of it. But for him to just satisfy people as the international break comes to an end. I know there's another one fairly soon before a slightly bigger break, but it all bodes very well.
Okay, quick shout out for Nikola Milenkovic as well. Absolute textbook Luke Moore sending off that.
Yeah. By the way, it was a sending off.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But the ball's going at a slight angle. Yeah. Are you trying to tell me that Kane doesn't gather that ball and have a shot and a very presentable chance?
Also, he's absolutely butchered him. The amount of times, honestly, there'll be loads of people listening to this who can relate to this. The amount of times when you were quite one-pace centre-back like I was, when you are absolutely convinced, every single brain cell in your head is telling you can get that ball.
Yeah.
And I must have attempted 400 of them in my Sunday career. I've probably got to about 25 of them.
Kane properly dangles it, doesn't he? Whoops.
Yeah.
You thought I was slow, did you?
And you say what you like about Milenkovic.
A fine defender.
He committed to the challenge.
He did.
He didn't.
He's gone all in.
Second guess himself.
He has gone all in. Yeah. Absolutely.
Big night for Anyasol as well, as Pete pointed out on the WhatsApp.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I assume so.
It's not got an accent above the N.
All right. Well, Anyasol then.
Yeah.
Is that like, all right. Fair enough.
I see why you went with that.
But it is for the anus.
I guess it is. Yeah.
Is it? What is it?
Anusol's it's Piles cream, isn't it?
Hemorrhoid cream.
Is that right?
And they've decided that this is the time to make our big pitch to the public.
Maybe they heard that in England there's a lot of people suffering with that.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of men who drink too much watching a football match in the pub who've probably got hemorrhoids. I think it's a pretty well targeted advert.
If you've got hemorrhoids, there's nothing to be ashamed about, but get yourself on this.
Get treated.
Anusol or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Be safe.
Exactly.
Be Anusol safe.
Indeed. Absolutely right.
Little free advert for them. That's probably not their tagline, is it?
Before we go for a break, I want to go on a slight tangent here. Former England striker Wayne Rooney has told a story about the first time Louis van Gaal met his wife, Colleen. Rooney said, we had lunch with all the players, wives, girlfriends and staff. He came up to Colleen and said, your children, they look very much like the father. She said, yeah. He said, he has very strong sperm. If you want to be an England striker, you've got to have strong sperm.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I kind of agree where he's going with that.
Have you seen the clip of Rooney talking about it?
No.
Because he sort of, it's like he's trying to do a Dutch accent, but the scouse is so strong, it just completely overrides it.
Okay.
I like it.
Can be a problem, yeah. I think Wayne Rooney's one of the greatest living in Britain.
Yeah,
so I'm all for him.
There's no doubt about that at all. Coming up after this, Erling Haaland scored a glut.
El Mahane right foot, whips it. Oh, Jeezy Peeps, man.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Was it Jeezy Peeps for Belarus? They lost 2-0 to Scotland in Hungary, this game was. Scotland added 3 points to their tally. It's all about the tally, as Steve Clark said.
When that gets added up, this is going to be a bit of a bonanza, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we don't know what Scotland are on at the moment. As you say, at the end of the group, it all gets tallied up. Apparently, according to Steve Clark.
Just puts it in a bag. No one's allowed to look into it.
Yeah.
Give it a little shake.
Yeah, but I would recommend winning games because I think your tally will be greater.
I'd recommend looking at the table if you feel like it. It's there for you to use, isn't it? It's a resource available to us all.
Nah, don't do that. I don't care about the table. It's all about winning games. Well, this is second in the group in the playoff position after 2 games. So a good start for Scotland. I mean, I know that they may have scored 1 or 2 more against Belarus, and goal difference could come down to it. But it's a win on the road. It's a clean sheet. And Shea Adams got his goal, Jim.
He did, yeah. Weird atmosphere.
Shea Everton Adams.
Shea Everton. Yeah, that's his middle name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everton.
Yeah.
Cheverton, sure.
There we go,
Yeah, pretty routine win, wasn't it? But as you were saying on Monday, Marcus, it's absolutely important that you put those away. Again, especially in a small group of Scotland.
Did you say weird atmosphere?
I did say it was a weird atmosphere because there was no atmosphere.
Yeah,
because you could only hear
an atmosphere
the people from the benches. But it's surprising how loud that is.
Went back to COVID times, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
When you have a behind the closed
It's
doors.
a reminder that's just a park with some seats around it.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. A bit of paint on it. Bit of paint on the lines. That's all it is at the end of the day.
A little bit of that. A small group of Scotland fans did travel to Hungary where the game was being played.
Great bunch of lads.
Lovely bunch of lads, I assume.
Did they say something like, there's no problem if we can't get to the game because that's normally the worst bit?
One of them said Scotland trips are fantastic, but usually the worst bit is the 90 minutes. Yeah, so you're right. So when we heard this game was on and we couldn't get in, we just had to come.
Yeah, it's like, you imagine the conversation that guy's had with his wife or whatever. You can't even go to the game. So?
Yeah.
So what?
Because they were in Denmark, right? So I thought, we'll make the short trip to Hungary. Might as well.
I mean,
especially if we can't see the game.
I mean, they're a lot closer than they normally are to Hungary, I suppose
Yeah.
you would argue. I do remember when England played Croatia behind closed doors. I think it was the Nations League around 2019, and a group of England fans went.
They broke in, didn't they?
No, they managed to climb up on a hill, and you could see down because it was played in quite a small stadium.
Yeah.
So they did see.
Well, it's an important win for Scotland. I suppose in a way the lack of fans probably helped them, which I guess is the design of the punishment in question. I mean, that's the point of it, I suppose. But
but Belarus were banned from staging home matches in their own country because of the government support of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
But my point is, it's a punishment, isn't it? So it makes it harder for them, and therefore makes it easier for their opponents. Scotland have 3 home games left, right? And that's massive.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you are right to say they're in that playoff position at the moment on, I think, obviously below Denmark, but they're on the same points.
Yeah.
And they played Denmark at home.
Yes, exactly.
So with this stuff, if you're, not sorry to use this kind of quite disrespectful phrase of middling international side, but Scotland are that, ultimately when it comes down to qualification, you just have to be really good in your home games because you don't really expect much from your away games. And in this 4-team group setup they've got now, it really does make a massive difference because Belarus are doing a pretty good impression of a whipping boy at the moment, but they're not a kind of Liechtenstein or an Andorra, and they haven't got that option in their group at the moment, Scotland. So they just need to make sure they get their business done properly at home.
Yes,
starting in October against Greece, right?
Well, indeed, yeah. I mean, I think that point, on the road in Copenhagen is a huge one because Denmark went to Greece and won 3-0.
That's a bonus point for them.
Yeah, but that 3-0 that Denmark secured away in Greece is also a bit of a statement victory for them as well because Greece hammered Belarus. I think they knocked 5 past them. So you're thinking, Greece aren't a bad side, say beat England and so on. When Denmark go there, it's like, oof, okay. You just got to be at the races now, and that point, if Scotland can beat Denmark at home, that would be.
I think, by the way, you're also right to say they should have scored more against Belarus. There were 1 or 2 really good chances. Obviously, the own goal gets them over the line. Absolutely. I mean, speaking of charitable, what an own goal that was. No one around him. Sticks it right in the gap.
I tell you what you can get.
Great header.
Yeah. Now we know that John McGinn loves chips.
Chaps. Say it properly.
Chaps. Ousmane Dembele has also spoken about his love for eating fast food. Dembele said, I still eat burgers and pizzas after matches, especially post-game. Well, we got that. Every player does. I will always eat them. I will never stop. It's Antonio Cassano-esque.
Yeah, it is.
The whole pizza thing, though, a lot of players
big
do.
deal.
Hence the...
Must be the carbs, right?
Pizzagate.
Yeah,
Old
quite.
Trafford.
That's why there was pizza knocking about.
Exactly.
So I'm led to believe that they have to get on board things like protein shakes and get a lot of protein on pretty quick after games because they've got such. I think it's because they've got such low body fat and they don't want their muscles to break down, right? But I think the pizza thing is obviously a carb thing, but also it's just nice, isn't it?
Yeah. when you're burning that many calories every single day, surely it's not even going to touch the sides.
I don't think I want to be near anyone who doesn't like pizza.
Yeah.
Is it even possible? Actually, my dad doesn't like pizza. He thinks it's foreign muck.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it is that, Jim.
There's a caveat to this, which is that everyone's dad of a certain age is weird about food.
Sure, yeah.
Not everybody.
Pizza is like some sort of alien kind of
But has
thing
he
from another
properly
planet.
tried it, though?
What he'll do is he'll try a bite of it and then make a face without really tasting it, and then make a big sulk
Do you
about
know-
not liking pizza, even though he likes all the constituent parts of pizza.
My dad's exactly the same.
But do you know what, though? I think that...
Does your dad like pizza? Before you make this point,
Yeah,
answer the question.
Yes,
Peter likes pizza, does he?
he does.
Peter Speller likes pizza.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something in there. But,
Yeah.
Is that why you do that vocal warm up? That's what that's about, isn't it?
Peter
Speller,
Pizza,
pizza.
pesto. But I think there is something strange about seeing an older person eating pizza.
I know what you mean.
Do you see what I mean? Well, I went to
Can't
Turin.
imagine David Attenborough eating a pizza.
Exactly, Jim. I went to Turin a couple of years ago for the Turin Derby, and to name drop Lawrence McKenna.
Yeah.
And I went
Yeah.
and
Is it a lame drop?
I think he's
A lot of people know.
I
who
think
he
you
is,
said
don't
a lame drop there,
lame
which
drop. Sorry,
feels
I didn't
quite
mean to.
Freudian.
you
Yeah.
can take that up with Lawrence.
I'm not going to disrespect Lawrence.
I
He's
think
a great man.
I think it's a fabulous name. I think it's up there with Attenborough. Quite
Fabulous
frankly.
name drop, yeah.
But anyway,
So Jim, you went to see Juventus play with David Attenborough.
yeah,
exactly
and we
right.
met you there
And
over a
they were
pizza.
cheating.
Attenborough didn't touch it. He had spaghetti. No, we went into a restaurant pre-game, and there was 4 very Italian-looking guys all sat round, one in a suit, one in a tracksuit top, like everything you would expect. And they were all north of 55, possibly 60. And 2 of them were eating pizza. And I just looked and thought, that just looks odd to me, even though I'm in Italy. Do you know what I mean? Back home, I wouldn't see people 60 plus eating pizza in a restaurant.
Italian men are funny because have you heard of that phenomenon called the umarell?
No.
I think I'm pronouncing that right. The umarell is a cultural phenomenon in Italy where old retired men go to construction sites and stand there watching builders build and give them advice.
I like that.
Apparently, it's like a proper hobby among a lot of
That's
retired men in
brilliant.
Italy.
It's good.
So there's loads of photos of them standing behind the kind of wire fencing.
That's quality.
With their hands behind their back, like observing how the building's going.
That's surely annoying if you're doing the building, right? Or the backseat building.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen one of them with a pizza.
It's
on the go
funny
as well.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about Wales 0, Canada 1.
That's not a link. You just get on with it.
Yeah, isn't rare bits a bit like pizza?
Yeah,
In a way.
should have just ignored the link.
Yeah.
Well,
Carry on.
you shouldn't have poked the bear.
There's a big Italian contingent in Wales.
But of course,
the
where
great Joe Calzaghe, of course.
there's one. And where was the Hawaiian pizza originated
I
from?
don't
I
actually
think
know
you're going
that.
to tell me Wales.
believe it was Canada.
Was it?
right,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, you see.
There we go.
If that's wrong, then up yours. But yes, a changed Welsh side fell to Canada 1-0 in Swansea. Only Bellamy's second defeat in 12 matches. It was only a friendly, of course. It'd be very inconvenient if they were in the same World Cup qualifying group. Belly.
I like that.
Bellas
Yeah.
had handpicked Canada himself as he wanted a match to test the players, and they're 3 places higher than Wales in the old FIFA rankings. Well, they got a test, Jim, and they failed it.
They did. Wonderful free kick to settle it.
Yes.
It's an
From the
interesting...
amazing name Derek Cornelius.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like an
Absolutely.
alter ego, like a Ben Stiller
Yeah,
character or something.
like some sort of professor.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one picking a team who are the type of team you likely to face in the World Cup. You know, there's value in that. So
Yeah.
Craig Bellamy's been talking a lot about picking their opponents very carefully so that they're around their level or higher than their level and they can learn from that. And he seems sort of laser focused on this stuff. So I'm sure there will be stuff that they take out of it. They'll be disappointed not to have scored a goal, I'm sure.
But I think it's a strange position they find themselves in, though, Jim, talking about the World Cup. I totally understand that rationale. But I don't want to say, do I want to say unlikely? They're kind of up against it to qualify for the World
They are,
Cup.
but he's not going to approach it that way, is he?
I guess not. But they've got big games at home to North Macedonia and Belgium,
Yep.
both of whom have
Sure.
been good. And,
Yes.
it's going to come down to that. And that's 2 big challenges because Macedonia haven't lost a game yet. They've been brilliant. North Macedonia, sorry.
North
Disrespectful to the
Macedonia.
North Macedonian people. I don't
Yes,
mean to
exactly.
be.
They were previously known as Macedonia, and then an area of Greece also called Macedonia went, come on,
Yeah.
we'll keep getting your mail.
Yeah.
So
Not paying another bill. Yeah. A speeding ticket? What's this? Hey!
but a good win for Canada, of course, a joint hosts next summer. Also, talking of the hosts and their results, Pochettino's US beat Japan 2-0. So,
People are quite negative about what's going on over there, aren't they?
Calm down, everybody.
I think it was Clint Dempsey.
He's doing the old Chloe Kelly. Just calm down.
Yeah. I saw Clint Dempsey, I think it was yesterday, saying that in his opinion, if the US weren't hosts, there was absolutely no chance they'd ever qualify.
One Deuce.
Yeah, Deuce is getting stuck in there. Didn't do a rap though. I was waiting for the rap.
That happens after when the mics are off.
Yeah.
You got to pay for that.
He didn't smash a window or do a rap, sadly.
No. Gentlemen, I want to go back to European qualification for the World Cup. Norway beat Moldova 11-1.
And they really did beat them, didn't they?
Always love it.
Absolute hammering.
I always love the one. They didn't keep a clean sheet. The
That was an own
goalkeeper.
goal.
Yeah, well, the gokeeper will be coming off going, how have I not got another notch there?
At one point, at 6-0, Moldova just knocking it about at the back in their own penalty area. With like Erling Haaland, famously the most devastating striker in world football, just breathing down their necks.
Was it Russell Martin's brother who's in charge of that? No, just
sounds
keep
like-
to the plan. It's going to work.
Yeah.
We've got one back. Yeah, Erling Haaland scored 5,
Yeah.
which...
He'll be disappointed with, I think, out of 11.
I think
he's
it's good.
got
Yeah,
under
I mean,
half the team's goal.
There was a penalty and he didn't take it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, yeah, he could have
Yeah.
got the double hat-trick.
Yeah, although, I mean, speaking of the Martin family, Rangers midfielder, who, of course, is now under the expert tutelage of Russell Martin, Tello Asgard is his surname. Where's he from?
It sounds very, very Nordic. It sounds very kind of.
Well, that's the place in the Avengers, isn't
Well,
it?
it's actually
Where
one of the
Thor's
Norse
from.
realms.
yeah, it's a realm of in Norse lore,
In Norse,
isn't it?
yeah, mythology.
Yeah.
It's not. Is it spelled the same? No, it might be spelled the same.
Who cares?
Doesn't
He
matter.
scored 4 goals.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, he only came off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, right. In the 64th minute.
Yeah.
He scored.
Solskjaer-esque.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Another Norwegian. Do you want to hear a little bit of intel about the largest wins by national teams? I think this is in European history.
Go on.
I don't think it's ever, because we got that famous American Samoa thing, didn't we? Remember back in the day?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
30-0.
So I remember when Germany beat San Marino, I think it was 13-0. Was that in there?
Oh, I think this is qualifiers. only.
Okay. Oh, that was it. I mean, it may have been a Euro qualifier if this is just World Cup qualifiers you're going with.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
So I'm narrowing it down, aren't I? By a Norwegian team.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's
Yesterday.
It's by yeah. Turns out this was the biggest one. I'm led to believe that in European World Cup qualifiers, the biggest result ever was Germany, who beat Cyprus 12-0 in 1969. But this is the biggest result in almost 30 years, because North Macedonia beat Liechtenstein 11-1 in 1996. I guess they were called something different then.
Well, they were called
Yeah.
probably. Oh, yeah.
Former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia,
Something
maybe
like
then?
that,
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff, though, isn't it? Because obviously Norway we've not seen them at a tournament for a long time.
A long time.
And they've got some brilliant players. It's not just Haaland and Odegaard. You got
They've massively underachieved
Antonio
over the years.
Nusa in there, and you got Oscar Bob in there, and there's
Call
some,
it a golden
some-
generation,
well,
man.
but this is what it feels like. It feels like when Belgium's kind of hipster generation first came through.
Yeah.
You know?
1994 must have been the last time
Sorloth.
they played in the World Cup, right?
Yeah, I think
Sorloth as
so,
well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Must have been 1994,
Yeah,
Marcus, wouldn't it? You're the resident World Cup historian.
Well, when
Norway last qualified.
98 they qualified.
Oh, 98, sorry.
When, of course, they famously beat Brazil but didn't
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time. It has been a long time because we think, you say, oh, well, England, they usually sort of nowadays breeze through qualifying, as do France and Portugal, even if they have a wobble. France nearly did last night, of course. But for a side like Norway, who, it qualified a fair few times, it's very, very tough, especially when it's only the team finishing top of the group goes through. So they've got a real chance. And I'll tell you something, I know Scotland beat them not that long ago, but with the players that you mentioned, not that many sides would want to come up against them.
Yeah.
No, they could hurt you for sure.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So could Portugal as well. Because Cristiano Ronaldo, speaking of records, equalled the record for most goals scored in World Cup qualifying.
It's boring, this, isn't it?
He's got 39 alongside Guatemala's Carlos Ruiz.
Well, that's great for him. I mean, great for Carlos to get a mention.
Yeah.
But someone's about to take his record, which is a shame.
That is a shame.
Yeah.
Unless, is it Ronaldo going to call it quits here? Or is he going to carry on?
Whatever it's going to be boring. Let's be absolutely fair about that.
Well, they beat Hungary 3-2. Another international side played in Hungary, the home team for a change. So a good win for them. Well done, Cristiano Ronaldo. It was a penalty, by
Do we
the
have
way.
to say that? Of course it was a penalty.
We have to say it.
Well done to him. Yeah.
Do we have to say
It's not
it?
said enough, is it, Jim?
No.
Well done for Cristiano Ronaldo and all your achievements.
Yeah.
I love that
He's a fair few.
in the piece I read about Cristiano Ronaldo get equal in this record, for no reason they just put Messi's in there. He's got 36.
Yeah.
I think that's relevant.
Yeah, of course you do. Because you're as tedious as him.
What about Carlos Ruiz?
Right. He got his mensch.
Carlos Luiz was a very prolific goal scorer for LA Galaxy back in the day.
Was
by
he
the way.
just?
Yeah, I looked
Was
him
he
up
just?
earlier.
Well done, you. Well, look, do you remember when we first started doing these podcasts? And
No.
the amount of international caps that the top players would get. Shilton's obviously still number one for England. Was
125.
125 international caps. Phenomenal. And the longevity that man, Cristiano Ronaldo has 223 international caps.
Wild. That's
Yeah,
absolutely
it is crazy.
Do you see what I mean? I know it's boring to say well
Peter
done.
Shilton was quite shit towards the end as
Right.
well.
And
also with that personality in a dressing room.
but think about the international goals as well. What Gerd Muller got 73, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
And these were the guys who had these records. He has 141 international goals.
But Gerd Muller scored his goals almost won a game though.
But 141, Luke.
It would be easy to forget about it if people weren't constantly mentioning it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the international record hasn't actually been mentioned as much because of what he did at club level.
Yeah.
We should have led with this and get a big traction on the YouTube. They love Cristiano Ronaldo on YouTube.
And with good reason. All right, coming up after this, Big Ange is back in business. That's right, we're going back to club football. If your international team didn't get a mention already, then do better. Now, Big Ange has replaced Nuno at Nottingham Forest.
Look, mate.
Wow.
Look, mate. Look, mate.
I tell you what, we knew that the writing was on the wall for poor old
Can't
Nuno.
wait to start, mate.
Nuno
Can't
is-
wait to get started at Forest, mate.
Do you know what? Forest fans must be gutted because under Nuno this season, they were thinking, could we win a trophy? Well, they're going to have to wait till next season
They
with
are
Ange, of
now,
course, because
yeah.
it's always a second season trophy.
It
for him.
depends on how you look at it, though.
Oh, I'm looking at it like that.
It depends on whether it's first full season, because it might not be.
This counts, surely.
You reckon?
This
All right.
counts. I mean, I suppose
What you're saying,
you
Forest fans?
can always use that as a technicality if he doesn't.
He could. He really, really could.
We're
Well,
assuming quite a lot about the fact how long he's going to last here.
yeah,
good
that
point.
is true. Well, I mean, it's such a interesting situation what happened at Forest with Nuno, because the way he's improved them and
Well, this is it, isn't it? I think because of the chaos of this, and because chaos is so regular under Marinakis, and you look at that and go, "Oh, just another day in the crazy world of Nottingham Forest." I think it's perhaps being lost a little bit of what an astonishing achievement it was for Nuno to get them into Europe. So, I mean, they were in a relegation battle when he joined, and he
Because
essentially
also
put
as
the
well-
kibosh on that immediately.
The way they did that, the way they did it as well, it almost had a tinge of disappointment that it wasn't Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
Which made you kind of think
They
less
were in
of
the
it.
hunt for that.
Yeah, yeah. And also Nuno's job was a real slog at first at Forest, because he had Steve Cooper was popular. I mean, I remember fans
Very
still singing
popular.
Steve Cooper's name
Yep.
after he got fired. They had the PSR thing, a points deduction. They went on that mad one where they all lost their heads about referees.
Yeah.
And Nuno had to navigate that as well. And then, as Jim said, he turns it around in quite dramatic fashion. And I know that it's come to an end the way it's come to an end, and his comments that he made were quite odd towards the end of his Forest tenure.
It kind of made it inevitable, really,
Yeah,
when
but
there's smoke, there's fire. He said.
yeah, but I do think that Nuno,
from Edu's barbecue.
he definitely Nuno had a calmness about him. It was probably pretty important along that chaotic stuff you're talking about. And I don't know if Postecoglou fits into that.
Well,
Postecoglou's quite
Well,
volatile.
Yeah, but we'll come to Postecoglou in a minute. I just you're talking about the chaos and Nuno. Of course, we suspect that there's a bit of chaos because of all the things you've just said there, and the Marinakis coming out onto the pitch after the game, and just the way he is, and some of the things that have been written about him, and so on. I'll let you do your own research there. But they had a good relationship.
Yeah.
Nuno and Marinakis, as we understand it. And it seemed that former Arsenal man, Edu's come along and got between them.
Yeah.
And I think that...
Three's company.
Well,
Two's
it is.
company, three's a crowd.
It is a crowd. And I think that it clearly, that's what's driving this. By the sounds of and what people are reporting, that Marinakis didn't want to get rid of Nuno. That it was good. But Edu was his man, and he felt that being in European competition, you've got to now have somebody like Edu who has experience of all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Come in, make some more signings, whereas Nuno wanted a trimmed down squad. And he's a bit like, no, I don't want this.
I don't think
influence.
Marinakis had a problem making signings before Edu.
No,
Fucking hell.
sure, but this is Nuno clearly wanted to go in one direction, and I think that they're saying, well, actually, we should be going in this direction. Maybe we should. Their argument may well have been we should be thinking bigger. And Nuno's like, well, hang on a minute, I've got us here. Can you not trust me a bit? And so you have this kind of fight for power, if you see what I mean. So that's why it's such a shame that they couldn't put that aside and they couldn't all work together. But this is football, and we've seen this before. It's a sickener for the Forest fans because you said you're right to say they loved Cooper, but it was certainly with hindsight you can see why he was moved on.
Well, they love Nuno as well now.
And they loved him, and now they've got a new man there. Ange Postecoglou signed a 2-year contract. contract. And he will lead them against Arsenal on Saturday, which is fascinating. Let's be honest, in Football Ramble HQ, we were hoping it was going to be Jose, because him and Marinakis together, that's Death Star
It would
stuff.
be great, but it does leave open the possibility of the West Ham job. Jose stated, didn't he, last season that he wants to be involved with a club that isn't involved with UEFA competitions because he hates UEFA that much. West Ham still fit that bill. So the dream is alive.
Yeah, and
He's saying that like there's other options for European football outside of UEFA.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, but go and manage outside of Europe. You'll be fine. You'll be clear of UEFA.
He wants a Super League.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. That's what he wants. Well, he's currently in the Super League. Well, he was up until recently, Jim, if we want to nitpick. But
I think it's good. I think there will be a landing spot for Mourinho in due course, guys. Don't worry too much about that.
he's a grade A Rangers man as well. One thing that does bode well for the Marinakis and Postecoglou relationship is Postecoglou's Greek heritage. Marinakis said, "What I want to say about Ange is that he has spoken about Greece many times. He is proud to be Greek. In this huge success that the whole world saw, which was the Europa League win, he promoted Greece. That's why he's got given the job."
Yeah, absolutely. What a coup for the people of Nottingham.
I read that and I thought, if I was a Forest fan, I was like, could you have maybe cast the net a little bit wider? Could you have had a proper think about this?
Also, apparently Postecoglou speaks Greek.
He does, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it just makes things a lot more efficient for Marinakis.
Yeah, exactly. It
doesn't
makes the arguments a bit more fluid.
yeah, get stuck into it.
I mean, for the purposes of entertainment, it's fantastic to have Postecoglou back. And
I
it's a
agree with
really,
you,
really good fit in terms of that, because they've got some incredible attacking talent. They already have a solid sort of defensive foundation. We'll see if that actually means anything.
I was about to say, it's a very change of gear and style, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we spent most of last season saying, why isn't Postecoglou more pragmatic when the evidence in front of him suggests that he absolutely has to be, and then he was in the Europa League. Exactly. Yeah. So I wonder if he'll use this kind of change of scenery and this break to just quietly play with a bit more pragmatism and let his defenders stop arriving late in the box and not doing anything else.
To add to that, Jim, I mean, yes, of course he won the Europa League, but Tottenham's 22 losses last season was the most of any team not to be relegated in a 38-game Premier League season.
Yeah, it's wild. He claims that he made a decision in like January to wrap his hand on the league, which I think is a baffling thing to say.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's true or not, but clearly they were.
Because Forest are in the Europa League, right?
Yeah. Well,
Don't do that again.
No, they were prioritising the Europa League, clearly Spurs under Postecoglou, but I think there's prioritising something and then there's that. But, one of the things that was levelled as criticism at Nuno and was probably definitely a contributing factor to them dropping away from the Champions League places was that they got found out a bit and they played in quite a one-dimensional way, this kind of counter-attacking thing or go up a goal early and kind of hold on to it. And they were very successful at doing that for long periods. So there wasn't a massive amount of pragmatism or flexibility about Nuno either. Now, I know there are different managers who like to play football in a different way, but from the Postecoglou point of view, I think he probably did enough to warrant another job in the Premier League.
I agree.
His Premier League record specifically was poor.
The season before it wasn't.
Yeah,
for a period of time.
I think he can still do a job.
He won the Europa League. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how it transpires.
Yeah, I think to judge his whole managerial career on Spurs' record in the Premier League specifically last season, I think it's fair on the man. And I think you're right, Jim. I think it'll be interesting how he approaches it. And
good or bad, it's entertaining, and that's true of Forest and him.
There you go.
Yeah.
This will be great
For the Ramble.
Big new manager bounce against Arsenal, Jim, with fingers crossed.
I hope not.
The only thing that will be bouncing will be several hamstrings. I told you. And I bet if he runs Elliot Anderson into the ground, he should not be welcome back on these shores again.
I tell you something though, Nuno is now at large.
Yeah,
you see maybe in a couple of months if teams aren't doing so well, like the likes of West Ham, although don't spoil our Jose Mourinho wish, he's available. So, you wouldn't be surprised if Nuno was back in work in the Premier League specifically soon enough. By the way,
isn't he a Georgie Mendes client?
Well, he'd be back in work this morning.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised by the time the show comes out.
He's at Wolves, what? Co-manager with Vitor Pereira.
He's just doing bits and pieces around the office.
Oh, by the way, I should say that Steve Cooper has gone to a happier place.
Brondby.
He's not died. He's going to Denmark.
Very
happy country.
Yeah, apparently one of the most happy countries in the world.
There we are.
I love this for Steve Cooper.
Yeah, same.
I think he can really get stuck into like the nerdy parts of coaching that he clearly loves without too much pressure on him. Compare. I mean, obviously in Denmark they love their football, but it's nowhere near the level of scrutiny that you get here. He can rebuild, and I think he'll do quite well there. And he'll be parachuted into some kind of Leicester adjacent size job again within a few years.
Yeah, not Leicester though specifically.
Probably won't. Well, it won't be them. No.
Definitely won't be them. Right, gentlemen, I want to finish with this. Have you seen this? Ronaldinho, or Ronaldinho, as we affectionately call him in this country. His son, João Mendes, is set to join Hull City.
Lovely clash of cultures.
He'll
Although Hull was a European city of culture.
Yeah.
And JJ Okocha played there.
And it had that super lamb banana thing there, didn't it? Which is, I think,
What's that?
It's really weird. It's a sort of
Liam Gallagher
City
did his
of
MTV Unplugged
culture
there.
thing.
Hurry up, Jim, because Marcus is talking about Liam Gallagher.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know what? Fuck it. Forget
Yeah.
the super lamb banana. It's too weird to explain. It's literally a sculpture of a lamb that's also a banana, and it's fucking mental. Ignore it.
I think you just did explain that. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, when you told us the name, we should have really figured it out.
I don't even know.
I think that's on us. But anyway, João Mendes, quite incredibly, he's signing for Hull from Burnley's academy.
Yeah, I thought I recognised this story from a year ago.
all the glamorous spots.
Yeah, Ronaldo says Burnley's academy.
At the Copacabana. Is he any good? I haven't seen him play.
His dad was good.
Yeah, that'll do you a few.
Who's your dad again? Can we meet him? Can you
That'll
get
get
him?
you a few
Do we call you Ronaldinho?
Yeah.
No, you've tired of hearing that? Okay, cool.
I remember when he signed for Burnley's academy. Ronaldinho posted something on his Instagram in a Burnley shirt. Good enough. That'll do.
There we are.
That's a fair trade.
Done.
We'll
That's
take
it.
that.
A few more international fans. Well, on adapting to life in England after moving from Barcelona, João Mendes said, "It's difficult at first, there's no denying that. Even more so in winter. And here, as it's in the north, it's a bit worse. If you put on a glove, 2 socks, we can manage."
A
glove.
like Michael Jackson.
Like he's playing golf.
I like that though. He's positive attitude.
Put me socks on.
There we
just
are.
put me glove on. Put another glove on. Right, it's not that cold yet. Wait till winter.
Yeah, exactly.
You went for the benefit if you put 2 on.
You need the contrast.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Well, let's see if Ronaldinho son, João Mendes, remember the name, can
He's
make it.
a centre back, isn't he?
Is he?
No, I've made that up.
Come on. Well, he's not a goalkeeper, just the one glove.